Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of BW People, I welcome you all to our second edition of the Happiest Workplaces Awards show that we are conducting with the leaders in HR. And we intend to think about how the organizations can be better and happier. So today we are joined by the lady, Dr. Ankita Singh. She's the Senior Vice President and Global Head HR, IT Admin and Travel for CIGNEX. Welcome, Ankita. Then we are joined with Mr. Dheeraj Modi, Vice President and Global HR Head for NLV Services. Welcome, Dheeraj.
Thank you.
And Dr. Ashish Ambasta, founder of Happy Plus, who is one of the partners for BW Business World and BW People's initiative for creating happiest workplaces. And we'll be discussing about how the organizations are getting better and how the changes in management have come from the ancient management techniques that we are using, and how from Henry Fayol till now the things have changed. So just to share certain examples from our lives, and I think most of us would have experienced at our end that when an employee is happy, the world becomes a better place for him as well as the people who are connected to him. So just to recall that my dad used to have some bad days at work, and when he used to come in, we used to hide away, and it wasn't pretty happier times. And when he was not happy, he would ask me that have I completed my homework or not, and everything used to fall on me. And same used to happen with my younger brothers and all. So these things, I think most of us from say 30 or 40 years down the line, we would have noticed. But today the things are changed. We are talking about work-life balances. We have spoken a lot about changing the workplaces, making it happier, making convenient to work, comfortable and all. But as we are discussing earlier with Ashish, still we haven't been able to find out what exactly happiness is. So today we'll be discussing about creating matchless workforces of happy employees. So I would request all of you, if you can share certain things that makes us happy before we actually start with the discussion on it. So over to you, Ankita.
That is a very difficult, yet I would say very interesting topic. I think each one of us are working towards it. We definitely want to see ourselves where every individual in our organization is able to say that I'm happy working with this organization and I belong to this place. But as you rightly said, it becomes a little difficult because obviously people are leaving every day, and your composition is new every single day, and you have to keep embracing and at the same time keep changing your system or your processes, your policies, your perception to meet the need of that particular day of those individuals. We will definitely cover more when we talk further about it, but in a line, if I have to summarize, I would say more than working on processes, it is now more important to work on people. And the more realization we have towards it when we talk about people, we still end up generalizing it. We still keeping them, we still end up keeping them in a pool that this is a project, this is a group, this is an organization. But to get all employees happy, it's really important that we focus on I. And when I say I mean each individual. So I for an individual. Once we start focusing, and thanks to technology, we can start with finding how the employee feels. And at the end of the day, we still know how was the day with just a click and a report and numbers state clearly how is the feel for today. I think a lot can be done in the direction, and the focus should be that we primarily move from more generic to a personalized approach.
Thanks, Ankita. So moving to Dheeraj on this. So, Dheeraj, you have already made a happier place, and Dr. Ambasta is only evaluating that right now. So we'd like to hear from you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Gone are the days, we were doing more of an engagement survey, finding people who are engaged. But this new terminology, which is somehow, came from this engagement only, but covers larger aspects and making it very simpler as well. Initially, when we were doing engagement surveys, mostly we were focusing on certain processes, like Dr. Ankita was mentioning it. It was more towards on the processes, more towards on the action plan, more towards on the roles and responsibilities, and we were focusing on only on hygiene. But things have moved from engagement surveys to happiest workplace surveys, because people can more relate to it. This is more simpler version. It combines not only engagement but other aspects, individualistic aspects as well. That is the reason we participated. We wanted to know our score, we wanted to know the feedback, and we're very happy that we won the award as well. But to start with, I wanted to kept it like this only, and would like to hear from Dr. Ashish what he's saying about it.
So what do you, Dr. Ashish? One more thing I'd like to add. I had a very close friend who was around 40 years older than me. He came from military, and he was CEO of one of our companies where he used to work with Xylem Cisco. And he had a principle that if the square pegs don't fit in the circles, then hammer them in and fit them in and make it more productive. But today the things I feel are different. So I would request Ashish ji to just throw some light on how things are changing and how to boost productivity as well at the same time. Ashish, I think you're in.
Good evening, everyone. And first of all, thank you, Talish. And it's great listening to Dr. Ankita and Dheeraj. It's a pleasure being with you, with all of you. I'll give you some perspective around why we thought happiness has become important for all of us now. And we need to be a little serious about happiness. Okay. So I've been in this industry where we used to go and measure engagement for last 18 years. And different companies and different MNCs I work with and try to solve issues of engagement in different firms. One of the things which always used to, always used to draw my attention was the fact that in the entire employee engagement program, the one person who was missing was the employee. And why I was saying that is when we used to do surveys, the data used to come and we would have the senior leadership team come and sit and we will present our data and say, you know what, this is not working, this is working. And then from there, the action plans will begin. So you have HR being given something to work on, some processes they will start working on. You also have manager scorecard where managers will be made accountable for sitting with their team and doing the action planning with the hope that managers can maintain or engage their people to a large extent. I'm not denying that these are not good things to do. Obviously, these all have got their own pros and cons. But one of the things which was coming to my mind, and as an employee, I always used to feel that why somebody is not asking me what I want, right? And why it is always an action plan from my manager or HR is being put onto me. And that's the thought which prompted me to do a lot of experiments during my PhD. What I used to do is a very simple question. I used to go to different people and used to say, would you be interested in an engagement program or would you be interested in a happiness program? Are you looking for, I have a training program to run and nominate yourself. So one program is only on employee engagement and another program is employee happiness. We will talk about your happiness and how do you will not believe overwhelmingly people will say, I want to understand happiness. Okay, I know engagement is important, but for me, what is more important is to understand how can I be more happy or happier. Okay, and that's where the thought started coming in that people have started believing that employee engagement is something for the organization and what is in it for me was missing. So people used to say, if you're engaged, then you'll be productive, you will be giving us more results, the attrition will be less. Then the employee will say, but what will I get? Will I be happier? And I think that's the point which we picked up and said that we need to do something about it. That's first point. Second point is, it's also the realization, and all of you will agree with me, that if you have decided to be unhappy, nobody can make you happy, right? And as adults, we are pretty sure, we are very sure that what makes us happy or what makes us unhappy. Now, if I have decided that I will not be happy as an organization, as a CEO, as a HR head, you keep doing what you want to do, but decision has been taken. I have come and joined you with certain objectives. Till the time my objectives are met, I will be there. If it is not met, then I will not be there. So entire notion that organizations can engage me or organizations can make me happy has to be looked at from a different perspective. And that's where we said that first we need to make happiness a priority for organizations. And second, we also need to ensure that individuals start taking accountability of their own happiness rather than giving everything to companies and say, you make us happy. So I think these are the two starting points from my side.
Thanks, Ashish. So diving into the discussion, what I had in mind was a couple of things that is loyalty, productivity, motivation, and advocacy for the organization. Ankita, we'll start with loyalty because that these days when you're talking about attrition rates, every organization is, like I also face the same challenges that every fine day you have to look out for new people, and you do not know that the people who are coming in, you nurture them, you wish to grow with them, but they leave. The reasons might be unhappiness. There is a very old meme that runs, people leave organization not because of the work, but because of a bad boss or maybe unhappiness. So what are the things, Ankita, I would like to understand from your end, that how do we keep people happy and nurture loyalty within the organization? How do you look at it?
Sure, thank you. I think we have two parts. One is the basic one where, when we talk about employees, people would want few fundamental things, like everybody would say roti, kapda, and makan. So similarly for all the employees, they would expect something from the organization. So when we follow it in our system, we say for a happy candidate or an employee, you have an acronym which would say HAPPY, which is hire them right, allocate them right, pay them right, give them a right profile. And Y is U, which means as an organization, we define things for them. So these are the basic things. Now, when you talk about an add-on, which is obviously you have got your roti kapda makan, and now if you want to move towards luxury or you want to be more inclusive and you want to grow with the system, you want to understand what's happening in the system, people would be more engaged, they would be more involved, and they would be more happy if they know that they are part of the vision, they are part of the entire organization, not just their part of work. So again, we went to another process or a training program where we say, if at all you want to create a happy employee, you have to hear them out really well, which is H. Accept that they are all different and treat them differently, which is treat them as a unique individual, not as an employee. Participate. When we say participate, like the point was amazingly raised that sometimes we just do what we feel is right. We don't do what is right. And it happens because we define what is right. We do not ask the employee, what do you want? What is happiness for you? A lot of people say when you talk about HR or engagement, it is only Holi, Diwali. But there are few employees who would come to your office because they want to enjoy those activities. So should there be a complete no or a yes? That is something which should be discussed and decided. So that's what we mean and do when we say participate. Second P is you have to be really passionate about your people and processes. A lot of times we leave things to default arrangements. We will see when it happens. We will see when people will come. We will react when people resign. We all conduct exit interviews, but I don't know how many of us are actually conducting stay interviews. When do we notice that pulse that yes, it may happen? Or even if I don't see anything, but let me just go and check that how are things? Is anything which is bothering in, and I'm here to understand how I can make it better for you instead of why you are leaving and what can I do now. And the last why, which is for the add-on factor, is having an answer to every step that you are taking, which is WHYY, why you are doing it. If at all, we have all gone through COVID, everybody was, in a very odd state. We cannot talk about happiness at that point in time, but people are now happy because we handled them really well at that point in time. If you were releasing few people, why were you releasing them? If you were not giving them salary for a couple of months, or you delaying it, why you were doing it? If you were stopping few projects or adding in something, why you were doing? If you were cross training them. So I think if you tell them that this is the reason why we are doing it, this is how you are involved, this is how it will impact you, and this is how critical you are to the organization, employees will still find a very simple way to relate and stay happy with you. And if these things are very finely defined and connected, loyalty is definitely the byproduct of it.
Thank you. So, coming to Dheeraj, what Dr. Ankita said was we shouldn't figure out happiness from the P&L of the organization or the P&L of objectives of the organization. So it's like it has to. I always have been talking about that we learn differential calculus, and in that we spoke about profit maximization in our MBA days. So we are only talking about profit maximization. We are not talking about actually keeping the people happy. So again, the same question to you, Dheeraj. Loyalties and dissatisfactions. If some examples can come from your end, it will be great. Because you.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I definitely 100% in agreement with Ankita that, it has to be individualistic as well. You do a survey, you get 80%, and you're happy that you got an award, 80%, great. But still there are 20% of the people, right? They did not give you a positive score. They might be an old employee, they might be a recent employee, and that 20% leads to 15% attrition. You are in a trouble by getting 80%, a big score, but still you are not at a stage where you wanted to have it. So that's how my before I go to your point, my problem statement is that in overall scheme of things, you do things which are for a larger benefit, right? You have a basic hygiene, right? You people know their roles, people are happy with the salary, but still there are certain set of people which you will find that they are not aligned, they are not happy because of some reasons, right? And sometimes you don't know who all those people are, because you cannot go to each employee if you're managing a workforce of 10,000 people, right? That's how maybe use of technology, use of excellent HR partner comes in to get to know, find out the problem is. But this is a very, very long process. It is just not a process where you do in a month and you can rely for a year. And you cannot keep doing this process every month as well. Otherwise, those 90% who all are happy, they'll not be happy. They said, why are you coming to us again and again and pushing us not to be happy? So it's a dilemma. What do we do in that stage? And, I look forward for an expert, Ashish, that what is his opinion on this aspect and how do we manage that aspect?
Sure. See, my perspective is pretty simple. I don't believe in complicating things. If you ask me, even before a person is an employee, he or she is a human being. And human beings' needs are simple. The simple needs are that I need to be at a place where I feel that I belong. Okay, so belongingness is important. I need to be at a place where I feel that I am learning and growing. So there is mastery, and that's helping me, move forward in my life. And then the third is that I need to have some autonomy. I want to do something. There should not be so many restrictions around how should I go and do something. There are ideas, but then there is so much of bureaucracy around me that I even don't want to open up and say what exactly I'm feeling. So if you summarize these three things, it's like mastery, belongingness, and autonomy. It makes you an MBA, right? It's actually talks about a simple need of somebody who knows what he or she wants to do, whether he or she has been put for a job which brings out the talent, inherent talent for them. And then you also have moment of truths like your managers, your colleagues, and your leaders who inspires you on a day-to-day basis. See, the problem is that we are starting with the end point of loyalty, that we want you to stay back. But I will look it from a different perspective. I will say we start from a perspective of providing you a last good mission and purpose, giving you an opportunity to express yourself, and giving you a feeling that you are growing all the time when you are with us. Obviously, if these things are meeting, then you will not be looking out and look for a job. And I have seen good organizations where people were so comfortable, they go back to their bosses and say, you know what, I'm getting a call from these guys, I'm getting a call from these people, but I'm not going because I don't think I will get what I'm getting here. So I think that should be the trust. Instead of worrying about that somebody will leave, I think we should start thinking about what should we create in our organization which pulls more and more people. And not only people stay back, but they also go and tell others about working in the firm. So they themselves becomes advocates and start being your brand ambassador in the long term. So I think that's how I look at the entire issue of unhappiness with loyalty.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Ashish. So let's revisit some of the principles from the past. That was division of work, authority and responsibility, discipline, unity of command, unity of direction, and organization strategies which are based on armed forces principles. So how the things have changed, and now in the current situations and current scenario, uh, I'll club two of the things, which is productivity and motivation to work. Because at the end of the day, if they are motivated, their productivity automatically comes in and adds to the. I'll refer back again to the P&L. So this time I'll start with Dheeraj. And Dheeraj, how do you see that there is a change in the principles, and how productivity and work, motivation at work is incorporated into the system, and how the sensitivities at work have played a different kind of a role. Now, at times it is work sharing or load sharing amongst the organization. Are they sensitive towards each other? Are the people of in the workforce, are they motivating each other and keeping each other happy as well? So how do we motivate that thing? And obviously coming to the productivity.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a very, very right correlation between motivation, happiness, and productivity. And I'm not biased, but I wanted to add a diversity here as well. With a diversified workforce, people are motivated. Young workforce, they are ready. If you are happy with your work, your colleague is happy with your work, you'll be very happily sharing a load with each other. Because that there is somebody who can look after your work. There is somebody who can coach you, who can guide you. There are certain set of process policies are in place wherein I am being valued in my organization. If I do help him, I've been valued. I get a recognition. Let's say I support Talis in some of the work. I get a recognition not only from Talis but my superiors as well. So whole of the team is happy, sharing, getting recognized. And more or less this young generation which is coming these days in this COVID time, a lot of time, in recent years, every year we get so many engineers, recruiters, they're coming in our workforce. These young engineers are so energetic, so happy, and they wanted to share. We have to hold them, right? Okay, wait. But this is an energy, which drives the organization. Of course, the foundation is that happiness, that you have your hygiene right. that gives sense of belongingness to the organization as well. And there are small things on top of the hygiene, like Dr. Ankita was mentioning it. There is some hygiene part of it, and then there are certain perks behind it. I know we've just gone for a recent study wherein people who are younger age, between 25 to 35, they are expecting more perks than the compensation increase, right? That gives them an happiness. So you have certain set of people, you have certain facts, right? You have certain statistics around it, that what gives a motivation, what gives a happiness to what kind of a people. You work accordingly, and then all around you have a foundation that people are energetic, people are engaged, people are motivated. That's how you link with the productivity. Each year we do different surveys, and we know our scores are improving, our top line is improving, our bottom line is improving. And it is just not only PNL we are talking about. We are talking about customer satisfaction scores as well, CSAT scores as well, that how these are, everything is so correlated that you cannot ignore one or the other.
You spoke about customer satisfaction. At times, in bargain of satisfying the customers, we keep our employees very unhappy. And specifically in the retail, I have seen that, they put a lot of effort, a lot of pressure goes into it. And, just to keep the customers satisfied, we end up losing a lot of people in our workforces as well. I'll come to Ashish on this one. Ashish, because we are dealing with the external services, we talk about customer retention, we talk about the employees who are the face of the organizations at the retails, or maybe the customer service, the BPOs that agents that we have. They work in extreme conditions and they have to take a lot of pressure. So how, and at times, it is very difficult to keep them motivated and happy. So any take on that front as well?
Absolutely. I'm glad that you have picked this up, because that's the area which we are working very closely on, because we believe that if your employees are happy, you should have a happy set of customers. But unfortunately, the relationship is not as simple as this, right? So what happens is, when we look at the data, then if you plot employee engagement on the x-axis, and if you plot customer in the y-axis, you will get 4 quadrants. In one of the quadrant where you have got low engagement of employees and low engagement of customer, it's like a worst scenario which you can have. But then you can also have situation where employees are happy, but they are not creating right set of happy customers. That means the focus is internal. You are trying to make people feel good about the place we are having, but they don't know why they are being taken, care of. At the end of the day, if you don't take care of your customers, you won't exist. So that's one problem. And the second problem is what you were mentioning, Kalish, that the focus is so much external on the customers that you don't take care of your employees, and they say, come what may, you have to make our customers happy. Again, that's not sustainable for a long term. The right quadrant to be will be where you have got equal focus on your customers and your employees. And I think what we have seen that those teams, and we are working with a financial services firm right now, a couple of them, and we have done this correlation, and we found that teams who are in the top quadrant, their productivity, their performance parameters are at least 20% more than the rest of the groups. And I think one interesting fact was that if customer focus was high and employee focus was not very high, that particular group's performance wasn't very different from the low quadrant. So actually, you are feeling that you are making a lot of difference to your customers, but actually it's not helping your performance. So I think minute data at a team level, data at a unit level needs to be observed, and you need to focus on both of these aspects very closely if you want to drive your employees and customers in the same direction. At the same time, we have also done a study where we saw that life insurance agents, if they were happier, they were able to create a base of customers who were not only happy, but they were also recommending more customers to this agent. So I think it's very clear that if you are driving happiness in your employees, in the right way, where you are not only making them happy, either them happy or the customer happy, but then you are putting it in a proper shape, then the companies tend to gain quite a lot in terms of recommendations, satisfaction, higher wallet of share, as well as the overall brand of the company or brand ambassadors you create for the organization in the long term. So I think it's very, very important.
Thank you, Dr. Ashish. Dr. Ankita, you wear multiple hats other than HR. You also handle IT and admin and travels. So there is a different set of people that you constantly work with. And I suppose their needs and the kind of engagement that they look for are different. So how do you segregate the set of people? They might be from different cultures, qualifications, a different maybe locations and a frame of minds, and set of learnings that they come from the external factors to them. So what is the kind of challenge that you face regularly to keep them on toes and stitch these teams together and work cohesively to be more productive and obviously be happy at the same time?
Absolutely. So I think, you were talking about how we were in past days. When we talk about principles and processes, those were more rigid. We always used to talk about organization as a whole. I think we took few steps further and we said we have to recognize teams as well. And now when you talk to most of the leaders or HR people or people managers, they would say we look at the individual individually, right? For them, the team member is important, not just the team composition. It's not the problem statement or the area of concern is not that how well your team is working, but now we have started talking about how well that particular person is working or how well he or she relates to the organization. And I think that fundamental base has helped me as well. When we talk about our processes, when we talk about our issues or targets, we definitely take it up as a team. But when I interact with them, I talk to them as individuals, because how things are at their end, generalization of everything won't take us anywhere. So what they want to do, a lot of times when we do appraisals of our team members, we want to see them at a certain level, right? A lot of us, we keep telling them that for last 4 years you've been handling the same thing. Don't you think you should be doing something else? Don't you think you should be doing something unique? We forget that we are being we are dictating more than being participative. We are not even asking why for last 4 years you are there and why you still want to continue at the same level. Are there some personal challenges, or do you uh, uh, do you find some disconnect? But I'm happy that those conversations in most of the organizations are now on, and we do a similar thing. Earlier we used to do annual surveys, but now we sit with our team members every month at least for 15 minutes, just to understand not only what you are giving to the organization, but at the same time where do you want to see yourself and how are we able to contribute. So I feel that has really helped. And a respect factor for each individual is primarily we have been talking about, we have been advertising about, we have been training people about it, that that's the most basic thing. All the processes, numbers will fall in place if we start treating humans as individuals and start catering to their needs.
This with this thing, we go to the next level, and what we are talking, we is I worked for an organization called Xylem Corporation in my initial days in Hyderabad, and the happiest people that I used to see there were the people who were working for the call centers in GE. And we were talking through the day, and they were happy, in the late evenings, and we had a colleague, partner with us. He used to sleep through the day while we were struggling. So we always used to feel that it was a happier organization. But what we saw in at my workplace that despite of the pressure, we are able to take a lot of risk. We are a young organization. The founder was a year older than me, and we were pretty happy, staying together as friends. So we are taking a lot of risks. But it was a small organization, so it is easier to get connected with everyone. But when we talk about a larger organizations, how do we create the real advocates of the organizations and real advocates, the real risk takers for the organizations? So I personally saw that we would do anything to see the organization grow. So how do we look at the similar kind of things in the bigger organizations with the huge bases that we have? And because I don't think it is humanly possible for any owner or the founder to engage with everyone. Uh, it might be difficult remembering the names as well. So coming to you, Dheeraj, how do you see that uh, the loyalty that translates to advocacy and the risk taking on behalf of organization can be generated in larger organizations through happiness?
Yeah, absolutely. This all boils down to decision making, right? And what kind of empowerment you provide to your people and how quickly they decide. We have a philosophy that fail fast, move fast. We never say that you take a decision and you get success, right? It's just you have to take decisions quickly, fail fast, move fast, and we are there for you. So they know that organization is with them. They can take decisions. And when they take decisions, they know the risk. They know how can we mitigate that risk. So it's building that culture in your organization that people feel they are empowered. They can take decisions. Of course, there can be certain rules of the game that who all can take what kind of decisions.
Yeah, agree.
But one should get an empowerment to take a decision at their level. That's all they can take a risk, right? Nobody wants to take a risk for $1 million, right? And no employees can do that. So it's just small decisions, small risk-taking capability you build among them. And that's how and this has been helping us in our organization because, you take a decision in 2 weeks, the opportunity has gone, right? You even did not try for it because the certain person who's supposed to be on a travel, he's not here, and then you're not taking decisions. So we are not building that culture. And of course, most of the organization who are young organization working on these lines actually taking benefit of building that organization of risk taking empowerment. And that's how we are doing it. We are making it very simple, not making it complex. We're saying that you are at that level, you should take decisions, calculate the risk, and we are with you. That's how we are building that culture.
Great. So I'll come back to Ankita before Dr. Ashish on the same question, that what you can do for your company, not what you can do for your company, but no, sorry, I messed it up. Kennedy's speech. What was it? It was think not what your company can do for you, but what you can do for your country. So that was something. So Ankita, in the same lines, could you just talk us through about your experiences and loyalties and advocacy and risk taking that can be done?
Yes, I think it has. These are very well correlated and connected. But as you rightly said, when the organization is big, I mean, with humongous numbers, it becomes difficult. You cannot connect with individuals daily, and if at all you are humanly not connecting with the individual, how are you claiming to take the credit for loyalty, right? But I think technology here has played a great role. I believe that at least to an extent, you can understand the pulse of the individual, how that individual is feeling, what is keeping him or her intact, where is the disparity, what is disturbing the internal system. All those things can be checked. And, every organization would have a team and they would say, these are the 15% now top performers or 20%. We have those segregations everywhere because you are purely focusing on your human capital. So identify those using those numbers analytics that you have already achieved, and then start connecting with those individuals. And if that one-to-one connect is built where there is a need. If at all you have 10,000 employees, probably you cannot meet each, but I don't think all those 10,000 employees want to meet you. Probably there's just 5% who would want you to, give them your 30 minutes or 20 minutes. It's really important to use technology, you use right sources, have your people in each team, like you said, your advocates, your messengers, who can pass on the right messages to them about the organization. At the same time, they can find out those trigger points and report it back to the right person who can take some action. These small initiatives help us in long run. Risk taking, I think it is more about empowerment. The more open you are to the system and to your people, the more they know about your culture and how receptive you are. It automatically flows in, very much like loyalty. If a person is comfortable, if the person knows that I am valued and I'm there is a platform to explore, and somebody is there to back up or at least logically hear me out, they will stay with you, and at the same time they will not shy away from experimenting.
Thanks, Dr. Anita. Dr. Ashish, so you have to sum up on the risk taking, then we'll look for your final words on the subject and close. I think you're not. Yeah.
First of all, I would like to say that there is a myth floating around which makes us believe that if you are a small firm, you can manage your engagement better, and if you're a large firm, then you can't do that, right? It's. I think it boils down to the culture and mindset of the company. You have, on one hand, you have got companies like Google, Facebook, who have got thousands and thousands of employees spread across the countries, and you ask, pick up anybody in any country, they will say, I love my company. I'm not saying that they are not dissatisfied people there, but majority of people will say that I love my company, right? So if it was so difficult to manage such a large workforce, then we would not have seen companies like this. On the other hand, we have got smaller companies of 50, 100 people, and the disengagement scores are so high that I can't even tell you, right? So it's a myth. I think at the core of it, it's as Dheeraj was talking about. It boils down to decision making. I will say it also boils down to the leadership's mindset. Are you working in a company which wants to create a happy organization, or are you working in a company which says that, okay, for me, my goals are the most important thing, and by the way, you also want you to be happy, right? So that mindset actually changes the entire dimension. A lot of people, a lot of leaders talk a lot about their people being happier. They understand that being happier will mean higher loyalty and higher engagement. But it's like we all knowing that you should not eat junk food, but we still eat junk food because we are habituated, right? So these people, these leaders will say that we need to take care of you, but they don't take care of. And why they don't take care? Because of the very fact you are talking about, that how we can go and talk to each one of them if we are such a large company. And that's where the point is. And I'm advising a company which has got 25,000 people across different continents. And what we are trying to do is to say, we will create those values, we will create those systems, and we will create those managerial capabilities that whichever part of the world you are, you will still be able to identify with the culture for which this company stands for. So whether you are in Africa or in Ghana or in Malaysia, the same things of how we define a great manager should behave with you will remain same, or the purpose or the mission with which we come to work will remain same, right? That's the foundation around which we all bind each other. And then the moment of truth, that my processes, my systems, and my people whom I interact with is also consistent. There is no deviation there. The problem happens is if we have got a lot of deviations because of your microculture. So, on one hand, you have a macro culture, which is defined by your value systems and leadership. The second is your microculture, which is dependent on your lead or on your immediate manager. And people look at the organization with the lenses of their managers. If my manager is good, this company is good. If the manager is not good, this company is not good. So the question which we need to answer is that how do we create a system where anybody whom you go and work with, if I work with Dheeraj, my experience is similar. If I work with Dr. Ankita, my experience is similar. Then you are talking about creating a system which is creating a right experience. I think instead of trying to build the long, the foundation, we look for quick fixes. And I think that's why a lot of people who are coming to work are very unhappy. Even the latest data which we have says that 80% of people aren't very, very happy with what they're doing. And it's a pretty alarming figure for us.
Thank you. So thank you, Dr. Ashish. So we'll go to the last section and we'll ask Dheeraj and Ankita that how are they creating better parents who go home happy and their kids remain happy and like me as I used to be. So Dheeraj, just 20 seconds of happiness that you can share on our audience and before we conclude.
Thanks. The regular problem of being mute and talking and be happy. That is also one way to be very happy. Be on mute and start talking. Gives an happiness. I think the first and which is the foremost need, and people are now habitual of the hybrid culture. You cannot avoid this now. So we call people to office. We are flexible. And if people are parents, if both mother and father both are working, there are certain things which they can leverage on our organization. So as we were mentioning about hygiene, very standardization, individualistic approach, a combination of everything, on top of it the hybrid culture which we are maintaining it. I think that is the crux of the hour, and that is the need of the hour, that you cannot avoid that. And we are very happy even facilitating that as well. That's what I can tell you.
Thank you, Dheeraj. Dr. Ankita, your concluding remarks on how to keep, what I always say is if the organization happy, the people are happy, they bring the happiness back home and the homes become happy and the society becomes happy. So your final remarks on that.
So I used to say, Taliz, before COVID that there are three factors. One is do what you promise before you hire them. Respect and value them when you take them in.
Yes.
Third is let them grow with the organization. But after COVID, we all have added two more things. Be more empathetic and stay relevant. So I would say these are the points.
Thank you, Dr. Ankita. The final words from the man who's into the business of happiness, Dr. Ashish. So, Ashish, over to you.
I think I will start with the first example you took, that when your father came from office and he was...
He is a very good man, Ashish.
No, I know. Those days,
Yeah.
he was very happy, and he came back, he made you all unhappy in some way. The opposite is also true, that people who are not happy at home and feeling that they will be very happy at work might not be a right expectation. And I think that's where we need to start treating employees as a whole human being, rather than the archaic thought that you keep your personal thing at your home and bring your professional self to office. I don't think that will work, because if you are not happy at the core, you can put a facade of being happy, but at the core of it, you are not. And I think that bubble will burst today or tomorrow. So I think as organizations, we need to put happiness as a priority for all of us and start bringing this change, that instead of we trying to do everything for you, can we give you skills and tools and methods to tell you that whichever situation you are, you can still find a solution for yourself and be happier. I think that will be the right win for everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Ashish. And thanks, Dheeraj. Thanks, Dr. Ankita. Thanks for giving time today. And we would like to welcome you more often and engage with us. And at the same time, I'd like our viewers to visit our website, BW People, and listen to more CHROs and the HR fraternity, and learn from us, and also visit our Happiest Workplaces Awards and see what we are trying to do to create better workplaces. So we will be looking forward for next few sessions in coming week. And thanks a lot, Dheeraj. Thanks, Dr. Ankita, once again. Thanks, Dr. Ambasta. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dheeraj. Thanks.